The sky of Sector 75 turned violet before the alarms even began. Giant rifts tore through the clouds, humming with energy. Ships burst through, silent but fast. No one had time to respond. The invasion had already begun. Planet Yalara was home to one of the most powerful alien races in the galaxy. The Vayari were known not just for their intelligence but for their most feared weapon, a girl who could walk through anything. Walls, weapons, force fields, nothing could stop her. Her name was Jiraiya. Jiraiya had never failed a mission. Her body was made of phased quantum particles, meaning no matter could ever touch her. She could step into restricted bases, bypass all armor, even walk through ships in mid-flight. She wasn't just a warrior, she was a myth, but Yalara made one mistake. They underestimated Earth. The Vayari wanted Earth's solar crystals, which had grown rare across the galaxy. They sent Jiraiya alone at first, to scout and test their defenses. To her, it was a routine task. She didn't expect resistance. She didn't expect humans to matter. Her ship entered Earth's orbit unseen. She phased through the outer hull and dropped onto the planet. She passed through rock and dirt like mist looking for the crystal mines. Then she heard footsteps. A human patrol team moved near the forest base. Jiraiya prepared to pass through the trees and vanish, but then something strange happened. One of the humans turned directly toward her, like he could see her cloaked form. He stepped forward. Jiraiya watched him carefully. He looked ordinary, no armor, just a basic survival suit. He had a small scanner in one hand and a calm expression on his face. "Who are you?" the human asked. Jiraiya didn't answer. She floated forward to phase past him. That's when it happened. As she passed near him, his hand brushed her arm. It should have gone through like all others, but it didn't. His hand touched her, and in that moment, a violent surge of energy exploded through both of them. Jiraiya screamed. She stumbled back, unable to phase through the air. For the first time in her life, her body locked into solidity. She felt pain, real pain, and the human looked just as shocked. He didn't move. He simply stared at his own hand where sparks still danced over his skin. "What are you?" she whispered. He took a step back, keeping his eyes on her. "I'm human," he said, "and you're not supposed to be here." Jiraiya vanished into the shadows, trying to recover. Her body was shaking, her molecules weren't stabilizing. Something about his touch had altered her. She had been trained for every kind of battlefield, but this wasn't battle. This was confusion. This was fear. Back on her ship, the commanders demanded a report. She lied, told them Earth was lightly guarded, easy to take. But in her mind, all she could think of was that human. The one whose touch didn't let her phase through. She had passed through weapons, warriors, even plasma beams. But one human changed everything. Not only had he touched, his touch hurt her, yet something in that surge had felt familiar, powerful, like their bodies had connected at a level she didn't understand. She had to know more. So she stayed. Not to scout, not to conquer, but to find him, and to learn why the universe's most untouchable weapon had been stopped by a human's touch. Jiraiya didn't return to her ship that night. She stayed hidden in the forest, her body unstable, her mind restless. Every few hours, her skin flickered between solid and phased form. The surge from that human's touch still echoed inside her like a wave that refused to settle. She tried to scan herself. Her internal phase monitor showed corruption in her energy pattern. Something had fused. Something had changed. She couldn't understand it. But one thing was clear. Her phasing wasn't reliable anymore. That meant she was vulnerable. And yet she didn't feel afraid. She felt curious. The next day, she saw him again. He walked alone, scanning the area. The humans had set up a temporary outpost near the crystal-rich cave system. Jiraiya floated through the rocks, watching him closely from behind. She didn't know his name. Didn't know why his touch had done what no energy field in the galaxy could do. She waited until he was alone again. This time she didn't hide. He turned quickly the moment she stepped out from the shadows. His hand went to his sidearm, but he didn't draw it. His eyes scanned her slower now. There was no fear in them, just caution. "I knew you'd come back," he said. Jiraiya stood silent, arms at her sides. "You touched me." He raised an eyebrow. "You were the one floating through trees. I figured you were a ghost." "I'm not a ghost. I'm Vayari." He blinked. "That's bad news." She stepped closer. "What did you do to me?" "I didn't do anything. You touched me and sparked like a live wire. Maybe you're broken." "I'm not broken," she said sharply. "You did something. Your body, your atoms. They interfered with mine." He didn't look surprised. He seemed more thoughtful. "My name's Adrian," he said. "I'm a field engineer. I was scanning for crystals, not expecting aliens to show up and scream when I touched them." Jiraiya didn't smile, but something in her expression softened. "Your energy, it cancels my phase." Adrian took a breath. "That sounds important." She nodded. "No one can touch me, not even my own kind. I walk through matter, through people, but not you." "Lucky me." "No," she said. "Not lucky. Dangerous." She stepped forward. He didn't move. As her hand came near his, sparks flickered again. Tiny blue arcs danced between their fingers before her hand pulled back quickly. "You changed my core field," she whispered. "You didn't just stop me, you left something inside me." Adrian glanced at his hand. "Then maybe you should stop coming near me." "I can't," she said quietly. For a moment, neither spoke. Around them, the forest moved with soft sounds. Distant drones scanned the skies. But in this clearing, it was just the two of them. A human who didn't understand what he was, and an alien weapon suddenly unsure of what she had become. "I came here to help my people invade this world," Jiraiya said. "But now I don't want to leave until I understand you. You'll get yourself caught. Then you'll help me stay hidden." He stared at her. "Why would I help someone who came to scout my planet for war?" She paused. "Because I don't want to destroy it anymore." Adrian frowned. He didn't believe her fully. Not yet. But something in her eyes looked honest. Not like a soldier. Like someone who'd just seen something impossible and didn't want to go back to the way things were. Then, a warning tone buzzed from Adrian's wristband. "Scanners are picking up unusual movement," he said. Jiraiya's eyes narrowed. "They're coming." "Who?" "My people. They're not here to talk." Adrian looked at her. "Then you'd better decide which side you're on." Jiraiya didn't answer. But she didn't disappear either. Jiraiya followed Adrian through the thick forest as quiet as a shadow. She could still phase through trees and stones, but her power was unstable. Her body sparked when she got too close to him. And still, she stayed close. Adrian led her to a hidden tunnel carved under a hill. It wasn't part of any military base, just an old mining route long abandoned. He used it sometimes to avoid scanners when patrolling the crystal field. Inside, the tunnel was cool and dark. Jiraiya stood in the center, watching the human scan the walls with a portable tool. His movements were smooth, precise, careful. He didn't act like a soldier, but his calmness felt like one. "You should have left when you had the chance," he said without turning. "I couldn't," Jiraiya replied. "Not after what happened between us." Adrian lowered the scanner. "You mean the spark?" "It was more than a spark," she said. "It changed me. It's still changing me." Adrian turned toward her. "What do you mean?" "I ran a deep scan of my molecular field. Your touch didn't just block my phase. It's fusing something into my code. Your DNA left a trace inside me." Adrian raised an eyebrow. "You're saying I infected you?" "No," she said. "I'm saying you bonded with me. Accidentally." He stepped back. "That's not comforting." Jiraiya stepped forward. "I don't want to hurt you, but I need answers. And my people won't wait. If they realize I've been altered, they'll call me defective. They'll erase me." Adrian stared at her. "Then you better stay hidden." She looked away. "I can't stay hidden forever. They're already scanning the area." I felt the tremor in the air. Adrian moved to a side wall and opened a hidden compartment. Inside was a small backpack and a folded uniform. "Put this on," he said. "If someone sees you, you'll look like one of us from a distance." Jiraiya looked at the clothes, confused. "You want me to dress like a human?" "Do you want to live?" he asked. She didn't argue. She stepped behind the tunnel wall and changed into the dark uniform. Her glowing skin dimmed slightly, hiding beneath the fabric. Her hair still shone, but she tied it back as best she could. When she stepped out again, Adrian's expression shifted. She didn't look like a soldier anymore. She looked like someone trying to belong. "It doesn't suit me," she said. "You'll pass," he replied. Suddenly a loud boom echoed from above. Adrian rushed to the entrance. That wasn't thunder. Jiraiya focused her senses. "Vayari, dropships, they're deploying scouts." "How many?" "Too many for your patrol to handle." Adrian tapped his comm. "Command, this is Unit Echo 5. I've got unknown energy signatures west of Ridge 9. Requesting confirmation." No reply. "Communication jam," he muttered. "They're cutting us off." Jiraiya stepped beside him. "They'll search for me first. I was their key to breaking Earth's defenses. You're the key and I'm the lock." She didn't smile, but she didn't disagree. Adrian pulled out a compact blaster and handed it to her. "Can you use this?" She looked at it, then handed it back. "If I fight, they'll know I'm compromised. But if I run, they'll never stop hunting me." Adrian sighed. "So what's the plan?" Jiraiya's eyes glowed faintly. "I go to them. But you come with me." "That's suicide." "No," she said. "It's the only way I learn why you matter, why your touch disrupted me, and maybe why it felt like more than just pain." Adrian looked at her, then at the sky rumbling above. "Let's find your answers before the world burns." And together, they stepped out into the coming storm. The sky cracked with the sound of descending Vayari ships. Dark metal wings spread above the forest as if the sky itself was breaking apart. Jiraiya and Adrian moved fast, sticking to shadows, staying low. He knew the terrain. She knew how her people hunted. Jiraiya's heart beat faster the closer they got to the landing zone. Her body twitched with faint sparks every time Adrian brushed close. It wasn't just his touch anymore. Even his presence triggered the energy in her. She didn't understand it. And that scared her more than any weapon her kind had created. Adrian led her to a ridge overlooking the crater where the dropship had landed. The vessel shimmered with Vayari energy, sleek and floating just above the ground. Several armored figures moved out in formation, scanning everything with blue light. "They're not wasting time," Adrian said. "They're not here to talk," Jiraiya replied. She spotted Commander Vrox among them, her superior, the one who had trained her since she was a child. His body was tall, his armor pulsing with living energy. His gaze swept the trees like a hawk. "If he sees me with you, he'll kill us both," she whispered. "So we don't let him see us." Jiraiya looked at Adrian. "No, we need to be seen." He turned sharply. "What?" "I need answers, and I need them from my people. If I show them I've changed, maybe they'll explain why." Adrian shook his head. "Or they'll blast you into atoms." She looked down at her hands. "Maybe. But I feel something new inside me. I can't run anymore." Before he could stop her, Jiraiya phased halfway through a tree trunk glowing softly and stepped out into the open. Adrian cursed under his breath and followed, blaster in hand. The Vayari soldiers turned instantly, weapons raised. Their eyes glowed behind their helmets. Vrox stepped forward and raised his hand, signaling them to lower their aim. Jiraiya stopped a few steps ahead of Adrian. She held her arms up, showing she was unarmed. "Commander Vrox," she said. "It's me." His eyes narrowed. "You're malfunctioning." "No," she said. "I've been altered." Vrox stepped closer. "You disobeyed direct recall. You're contaminated." "I touched a human," she said loudly. "And it changed me." the soldiers murmured. Vrox's face twisted with disgust. You bonded with a lesser species. You are no longer pure Vayari. Jiraiya's voice cracked. What does that mean? Why did it happen? There were theories, Vrox said coldly, but no proof. Your phasing field was designed to reject all solid matter. Human DNA carries ancient resonance. Dangerous, unpredictable. You should have avoided contact. Adrian stepped forward. She didn't plan to touch me. It happened. Vrox pointed at him. You're the problem. No, Jiraiya said, stepping in front of Adrian. He's the answer. Vrox raised his hand. Energy gathered in his palm. You've become a weakness. Jiraiya felt it then. A deep hum in her chest. The bond between her and Adrian pulsed with heat. The moment Vrox unleashed the blast, she reacted. She grabbed Adrian's hand, and instead of phasing through him, their combined energy surged outward. Wave of pure light exploded in a dome around them, knocking the Vayari soldiers back. Vrox stumbled, shielding himself. Jiraiya stood with eyes glowing, her body no longer flickering. Her form stabilized, but only while holding Adrian's hand. You were wrong, she said. He didn't break me, he completed me. Vrox growled. You're lost to us. I'm something new. Adrian looked at her. We need to leave. Now. Jiraiya nodded, and for the first time she didn't phase away alone. She ran with him, not just to escape, but to figure out what they had become. They didn't stop running until they reached the other side of the valley. Trees blurred past them, roots and rocks almost forgotten as Jiraiya's mind spun with questions. Her breath was heavy. Adrian was quiet beside her, his grip firm on her wrist. She could still feel the energy between them, that strange pulse. It didn't fade. If anything, it grew stronger the longer they stayed close. They hid in a cave behind a curtain of vines. Adrian scanned the surroundings, no drones, no movement. He turned to Jiraiya. You all right? No, she said. I'm not. Adrian sat down, catching his breath. What did he mean? Your people knew about this? She leaned against the wall. There were myths, forbidden experiments. The idea that human DNA could affect phase walkers like me. But we were told it was ancient nonsense. That humans were weak, soft. Adrian smirked. I'll take that as a compliment. She didn't smile. You don't understand. They created me to be perfect, to pass through everything. I was built to never need touch, never feel warmth. I wasn't supposed to have limits. He looked at her gently. Maybe that's not what perfection really means. She turned her head, eyes meeting his. Then what does it mean? He paused, then said softly, It means knowing when you need someone else to survive. She looked away, unsure how to reply. Her body was still glowing faintly. Even here, far from the dropships, her molecules vibrated differently. Adrian's touch had rewired her, not just physically, but emotionally. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like a weapon. She felt alive. Suddenly, a sharp beep echoed in the cave. Adrian checked his comm. We've got a signal, encrypted, one of ours. Could be a squad. Jiraiya tensed. Or it could be a trap. He nodded. Only one way to know. They moved. Carefully, Jiraiya staying cloaked just enough to blur her form. Her phasing wasn't stable unless she touched Adrian, but it was still enough to hide from normal eyes. They reached an abandoned relay tower at the edge of the cliffs. Inside, a single human soldier waited, rifle across his chest. He turned sharply when Adrian approached. Echo 5? The soldier said. Adrian saluted. That's me. The soldier lowered his weapon. Commands scrambled, were cut off. I'm here to extract remaining teams. Got one shuttle left. Adrian looked at Jiraiya, then back at the soldier. I have someone with me. The soldier frowned. Alien? She's not a threat. Jiraiya stepped forward slowly. Her form solidified as she let go of her phase. The soldier raised his gun again, startled. Stand down, Adrian said. She saved my life. She's one of them. She's not anymore. Jiraiya spoke clearly. If I wanted to kill you, I would have walked through your heart before. You saw me. The soldier froze. She continued, but I didn't, because I'm not your enemy now. Adrian stepped between them. We don't have time for debate. She's with me. The soldier hesitated. Then slowly, he lowered his weapon. The shuttle's 2 clicks north, but it won't wait forever. Adrian turned to Jiraiya. We can get out, start fresh, figure this out far from here. She didn't answer right away. She looked at her hands again, solid, steady. As long as Adrian was near, she didn't flicker, didn't feel hollow. The surge between them had become her anchor. I'm not ready to run, she said finally. I need to know more. Adrian frowned. More about what? About what I am now. She looked up at him. And what we are. Before he could respond, an explosion rocked the cliffs below. Smoke rose in the distance. Jiraiya's eyes narrowed. They're coming. Adrian raised his blaster. Then let's make sure they don't catch us unprepared. They didn't run this time. They stood together side by side, ready for whatever came next. The ground shook beneath their feet as the second blast echoed from the hills. Adrian helped Jiraiya duck behind a broken antenna dish while dust rained from the cliffs above. The soldier who met them at the relay tower shouted into his comm, but all he got was static. They're jamming everything, he said. No backups. Coming. Jiraiya peeked through the rubble. Vayari war scouts moved fast across the ridge, cloaked in shimmering armor. Their weapons pulsed with phase charges, designed to cut through human tech and bodies alike. They know I've defected, she said quietly. Adrian looked at her. Are you sure it's not just a hunt? No, this is personal. Vrox won't let me exist like this. She touched the wall beside her and tried to phase. Her hand flickered but didn't pass through. Her ability was still broken without Adrian. Close. He took her hand without saying a word. Her body calmed. Adrian looked into her eyes. If I'm the only one keeping you together, we're going to have to stay that way. She nodded. We already are. The soldier next to them rolled. His eyes. Look, lovebirds. Romance later, survival now. Adrian smirked. Let's move. They sprinted toward the extraction point through broken trees and scorched ground. Jiraiya stayed close. Not just because she needed to. Because she wanted to. As they reached the clearing near the shuttle, Vayari drones zipped overhead. A siren rang through the air. The human pilot shouted from the ramp. Get in now. 5 seconds and I'm lifting. Jiraiya froze. She felt something pull her attention west toward the canyon. What is it? Adrian asked. There's a data core there. I can feel its frequency. Is it worth your life? It contains all research on me, my phase design, my origin. Adrian's face turned serious. You want to destroy it? No. I want to know if I was created or born. Adrian hesitated, then handed his blaster to the soldier. Hold the shuttle. What? The soldier barked. We'll meet you at the river bend. 10 minutes. You're insane. Adrian didn't argue. He was already moving. Jiraiya led him to the edge of a deep gorge. A Vayari outpost was hidden inside the rock wall. She pointed to the glowing panel. That's where they kept the core. How do we get in? She reached for his hand. Together. They jumped, phasing halfway into the wall. Their combined energy allowed her to carry them both into the stone. It wasn't perfect. The edges of reality scraped at them. But they made it through. Inside, the chamber buzzed with power. The core sat at the center, a glowing orb inside a prism of spinning data. Jiraiya stepped forward slowly. She placed her hand on the surface. The core responded instantly. Memories not her own poured into her mind. Pain, isolation, training chambers. Vrox's voice calling her a tool, a weapon. Her earliest years wiped clean, hidden behind programming. She stumbled back. I wasn't born, she said softly. I was made. Adrian caught her. So was I, in a way. Made by war. Made to fight. She looked up at him. But I can choose who I become now. He nodded. So what do we do with this thing? Jiraiya raised her hand and pulsed her phase field. The core cracked, then shattered into blue dust. The lights went dark. Outside, Vayari scouts had picked up their trace. Adrian grabbed her hand again. "Let's vanish," she smiled faintly. "Now that I'm with you, I can." And they phased out of the outpost, together. Jiraiya and Adrian emerged from the rock wall near the river bend. They landed hard, rolling through the mud before quickly getting back on their feet. The shuttle wasn't there. Adrian scanned the area. He waited too long. "He's gone." Jiraiya touched the ground, her fingers lighting up with tiny pulses. "No," he circled back. "There's a signature in the air. The engine trail heads east." Adrian smiled. "Good. At least he's not a coward." But their moment of relief didn't last. A crack of energy lit up the sky behind them. Vayari scouts had arrived. "We have to move," Adrian said. Jiraiya turned toward him. "No, we don't run anymore." Adrian frowned. "What do you mean?" "I destroyed the core, but Vrox won't stop. He'll keep hunting. He'll tell the High Council I'm a danger to their design, that humans are a threat to their purity." Adrian wiped mud from his face. "They already think we're a threat." Jiraiya stepped closer. "Then it's time to show them what we really are." She raised her hand and triggered a signal into the sky, an open frequency, the kind Vayari commanders used for war broadcasts. Adrian looked shocked. "They'll know where we are." "I want them to. This ends now." Within minutes, the sky darkened again. A ship unlike the others descended. It wasn't a scout. It was Vrox's personal war cruiser. Adrian tensed. "You sure about this?" Jiraiya nodded. "I was never sure of anything until I touched you." The war cruiser landed. Vrox stepped out alone, his armor alive with shifting energy. Behind him, rows of Vayari soldiers waited silently. "You disgrace our kind," Vrox said loudly. "You were designed to obey." "I was designed to pass through anything," Jiraiya replied. "And yet your control no longer works." She held Adrian's hand tightly. Their bodies glowed together again, the surge now steady and controlled. Vrox's voice was cold. "That bond is unnatural. It threatens everything we built." "No," she said. "It proves you built something incomplete." Vrox raised his weapon. "I will erase you both." Adrian stepped forward. "You'll try." Before Vrox could fire, Jiraiya pulsed her energy. The field around her expanded, creating a barrier between them and the soldiers. Vrox's weapon beam struck the edge and shattered like glass. The soldiers behind him hesitated. Jiraiya's voice rose. "I am Jiraiya. I was made in your labs, trained by your code, shaped by your fear, but I am not yours anymore." She looked to the soldiers. "And if any of you still feel what it means to choose your path, then follow me." Silence. Then a sound. A soft click. One of the soldiers dropped his rifle. Then another, and another. Vrox's eyes widened. "No," he growled. "You will not turn them against me." "You turned them against themselves," Jiraiya said. He roared and charged forward, energy building in his fists. Adrian stepped in front of Jiraiya, weapon raised, but she stopped him. "I'll handle him." Jiraiya walked calmly toward Vrox. He struck with full force. She didn't phase away. Instead, she caught his arm, and the moment she touched him, the surge burst once more. But this time she controlled it. The blast didn't kill him. It collapsed, his energy suit, and knocked him to his knees. He looked up, trembling. "What are you?" Jiraiya answered calmly. "Something you never could be." The other soldiers stood still. Jiraiya turned back to Adrian, her body still glowing faintly. He reached out, and when their fingers touched, the light calmed. "We should go," he said. She nodded. "But we're not running. We're moving forward." And for the first time, Jiraiya felt like her steps were truly her own. The battlefield was quiet now. The wind moved through the trees like a whisper. Vayari soldiers stood still, watching Jiraiya with wide, uncertain eyes. Their commander had fallen, not killed, defeated, silenced by the one they once called untouchable. Adrian lowered his blaster but kept it close. He didn't trust how still the others were. He glanced at Jiraiya, who stood calm and glowing in the fading light. She wasn't a weapon anymore. She was something else now. One of the Veari soldiers stepped forward. His helmet opened, revealing a young face filled with doubt. "What do we do now?" he asked. Jiraiya looked at him, then turned to the rest. "You don't have to obey fear anymore," she said. "You don't have to follow a code that rejects what you feel." "We were created for order," another soldier said. "So was I," Jiraiya replied. "But I found something stronger than order. I found choice." They looked at each other. Slowly, they dropped their weapons. No orders were spoken, no signal was given, they just stopped. Adrian walked up beside her. "You sure they won't change their minds?" "No," she said, "but that's what makes them free." Above them, Vrox's war cruiser remained. Still, Adrian knew Earth's defenses would pick up the ship any minute now. If they saw it idle, they'd send in air support. "We need to leave," he said. Jiraiya nodded. "There's a place I know, a system far from Veari reach. We can disappear there, start again." Adrian looked at her. "What about your people?" "They're not my people anymore, not unless they choose to be." They walked toward the shuttle that had returned, piloted by the same soldier who had doubted them earlier. He didn't speak, just opened the hatch. Jiraiya looked back once more at the soldiers on the ridge. Some were helping Vrox to his feet. Others simply watched as the humans departed, unsure what future they now faced. Inside the shuttle, Jiraiya sat beside Adrian. She reached for his hand again. The surge sparked softly between them, but this time it didn't burn. It hummed. Warm. Steady. Alive. "You know," Adrian said with a small grin, "you still haven't told me why your phase field doesn't work on humans." "I don't know the science," she replied, "but I know the feeling." "What feeling?" She leaned back against the seat and closed her eyes. "Connection. Something I was never allowed to have. My body could pass through every kind of matter, but I was never meant to be touched, never meant to feel." Adrian's voice softened. "But you felt something with me." She nodded. "More than I was built to understand." The shuttle rose, into the sky, leaving behind a broken battlefield and a silent army. Hours later, they landed on a hidden research station orbiting a forgotten moon. It had once belonged to rogue scientists, now it was abandoned, quiet, safe. Jiraiya stood in front of a mirror. For the first time, she didn't phase through her own reflection. She touched the glass. Solid. Real. Adrian came up behind her. "What do you see?" he asked. "A girl who was made," she replied. "But not owned." He smiled. "So what now?" She turned to face him. "Now we learn what it means to live." They walked through the corridor of the station, hand in hand. No orders. No missions. No war. Just a girl who had once passed through the universe untouched and a human who showed her what it meant to be real. And wherever they went next, they would go together.